The film opens with a dark emergency broadcast that a deadly virus has erupted at a major airport and that it is spreading with terrifying speed. In mere hours, there is total chaos as the infected passengers turn violently aggressive, attacking anyone in sight. The terminals become a battleground, and it is engulfed in flames as authorities lose control. Within 2 months, the outbreak escalates into a global catastrophe. The infected, now called ferals, are no longer human, but they've become savage, rabid creatures with no trace of their former selves. As the governments scramble to impose quarantines, protests erupt, with some insisting that the ferals are still people worth saving. And soon, the cities across the nation descend into anarchy. Then, suddenly, every television broadcast goes dark. Meanwhile, in a quiet suburb, 2 siblings, Abigail and her brother, receive a call from their father, who is a rescue pilot working to rescue others. He promised the children over the phone that they'll be safe with their mother. But moments after the call ends, they hear a noise echoing from upstairs. Alarmed, the family flees the house. But outside, a feral ambushes them. Their mother is the first to fall as the feral attack. Abigail quickly hides under the car, trembling, as she watches the feral maul her brother. Before the monster could attack her, a police siren in the distance scares it off. But the nightmare isn't over just yet. Her brother, barely alive, reaches out for Abigail, only for their mother, now fully transformed, to finish him off. As Abigail's cries sound out, the feral turns its attention to her. Just as it jumps at her, a gunshot echoes. Cassius, who is a lone survivor, had just arrived on time. He pulls Abigail into his arms, shielding her from the horror as he ends her brother's suffering before the transformation can complete. 10 years later, we see that civilization has collapsed. Cities have been abandoned, and humans are a rare sight. Abigail, now a hardened teenager, continued to survive alongside Cassius, who has become her mentor. In this new world, survival is a daily battle. During one of their hunts, Abigail kills a deer with a perfect shot. Although Cassius praises her skill, he reminds her that patience will keep her alive. That night, they make camp, setting tripwires as a warning system. But deep in the night, Cassius wakes to a faint sound. One of the traps has been set off. When he investigates, he finds a tuft of fur, which is a confirmation that ferals are nearby. Suddenly, one charges from the dark. Cassius reacts fast and drops it with a single bullet. But he knows this is only the beginning. Where there's one, the horde follows. Wasting no time, they pack up and move through the wilderness. Days pass as Cassius continues to sharpen Abigail's instincts, drilling her in the brutal realities of their world. Then, one grim afternoon, they spot a car in the distance. They also see a man under attack by ferals. Abigail, who is eager to help, fires. But her shot is rushed and both the man and the feral are hit. When another feral bursts out, Cassius takes it out cleanly. The two eventually reach the car, and as they scavenge it, Abigail finds a working radio. She could hear a voice calling out, and she prepared to respond. Cassius tells her to stay quiet. Then they're suddenly joined by a group of humans in a convoy. The group quickly draw their guns and surround Abigail and Cassius. Seeing the dead man, the group assumes the worst. To them, Abigail and Cassius are nothing more than scavengers. As tensions rise, the group's leader threatens to kill Cassius and Abigail. But in a swift, desperate move, they lunge at the 2 closest people, knocking them down and seizing their weapons. Now the groups are both locked in a tense standoff, until a pregnant woman, Megan, steps out of a nearby car and tries to de-escalate the situation. Before she can say much, the horses nearby begin to panic, and suddenly, a feral horde surrounds them. The men immediately open fire, taking down as many ferals as possible. But there are too many of them. The creatures push forward, forcing Cassius and Abigail to engage in a hand-to-hand combat with their blades. The others, who were not as experienced, rely solely on their guns, and one by one, they are killed. In the chaos, one of the women prepares a Molotov cocktail, but a feral tackles her before she can throw it. The bomb drops on the bonnet of the car, and as Cassius rushes to assist Megan out, the car explodes, sending Cassius falling backward. As one of the men who had been bitten attempts to take his own life, he discovers, to his horror, that he has run out of bullets. As they fight on, the group's leader is killed by a massive feral. Megan's husband, David, is attacked as well, but he manages to fight the creature off. In an attempt to escape, Abigail rushes to help Megan and David into a car, while Cassius fends off the remaining attackers. As they speed away, a feral clings to the roof of the car, but Cassius slams the brakes, throwing it off, and Abigail quickly retrieves their supplies before they make a full escape. Behind them, the giant feral sees the body of his mate and lets out a furious roar. Once on the road, Abigail checks their remaining ammo and tells Cassius that they are running low. During their ride, Megan reveals that they were headed for a riverside colony. She's 35 weeks pregnant, and time is running out for her. However, Cassius and Abigail tells her that they are skeptical as they have already seen too many colonies fall. Moments later, the car breaks down. With no other option, the group continues their journey on foot. Eventually, they reach an abandoned town and decide to rest for the night. So they clear out a building and set up a camp. That evening, Megan shares her food with the others, but Cassius and Abigail decline. He tells her that they've learned to survive only on what they hunt themselves, as they trust no external source. Megan and David, however, remain hopeful. They reveal that they've made radio contact with a distant colony which had promised them safety, medical help, and supplies. However, the colony is a week's journey away, across dangerous, feral-infested terrain. Both Cassius and Abigail were not interested as they tell the couple that their sights are set on the west coast, hoping to reach the islands where the infection might not have spread. Later that night, while others were inside, Cassius set up tripwires around the building. Back inside, he shows David a map and traces out a potential path to the colony. Although he offers guidance, he refuses to accompany them. He's convinced the horde that attacked before will return for revenge. Even when Abigail tries to persuade him, telling him that this colony might be different, he won't hear it. Meanwhile, not far off, the horde has picked up their trail as they discover the wrecked vehicle and follow the scent of the survivors. Unable to sleep that night, Cassius talks with David. He shows him a single bullet, his last resort, should he ever be bitten. David, who is exhausted, shares a cigarette. The quiet moment gives them a chance to talk, sharing stories of the world before and the losses since. As they talked, something shifted in Cassius, and he changed his mind. So, he agrees to help them reach the colony after all. The next morning, Abigail is jolted alert by a sound reverberating through the building. She quickly arms herself and climbs down the stairs cautiously. Suddenly, a feral lunges at her, knocking her weapon away. but she reacts fast as she grabs her sword and kills the creature in one clean swing. Before she can recover, another feral attack. So, she quickly climbs up the stairs as the feral pursues. Thinking fast, she uses a broken window of the building to her advantage as she dodges the feral's jump and watches it fall to its death. But the struggle nearly takes her with it. At the last second, Cassius catches her hand and pulls her back. Moments later, the horde arrives. But the group is long gone. One of the feral triggers the tripwire and sets off an explosion that takes out the feral instantly. As they continue on their journey, Abigail spots a familiar area. She remembers a nearby civil airport where her father once kept a plane, and to her, it's a chance for escape. But Cassius was skeptic as he argues that it's a suicide mission. Airports are ideal hunting grounds for ferals, and chances of finding a working plane are slim. But Abigail and the couple are resolute, and in the end, Cassius reluctantly follows. Eventually, they come across an old building and a car with a dead man slumped inside. Cassius warns them that they will have to be very cautious as he senses unseen eyes on them. Abigail checks the building and only finds coffee, unaware that a terrified family was hiding in one of the back rooms. In the car's trunk, Cassius finds a wheelchair and they use it to ease the stress for Megan. Eventually, they reach the airport, only to find it empty. There were no planes in sight. As tension starts to flare between David and Cassius over what to do next, Abigail interrupts them and points to a structure in the distance. It was her father's old hangar. Miraculously, they find a plane inside and David, with his mechanical skills, gets to work as he attempts to fix the engine. While he repairs the aircraft, Abigail and Cassius search the hangar. Inside, Abigail finds an old photo of her and her father and gently places it back on the wall. But there's no time to dwell as they soon discover that the horde was closing in on them. With the plane still not ready, Cassius opens fire to slow them down while David manually spins the propeller to jumpstart the engine. Abigail, who is barely familiar with flying, struggles to get the plane moving. Just as the horde closes in, she figures it out, and the aircraft finally gains speed. As one of the ferals clings to the door mid-takeoff, Cassius manages to shoot it off. They barely escape, however. Their relief is short-lived. Few minutes in the air, the engine of the plane fails and they eventually crash into the trees. Miraculously, the plane lands upright on the tree, and everyone survives with minor injuries. They eventually find a nearby train station and decide to rest there. Cassius estimates it'll now take them 2 days to reach the colony. As Abigail counts their dwindling ammo, Cassius shares his past with Megan about losing his wife after she took her life, unable to cope with what he did to protect her. He also recalls a young boy from his town, who had been bitten but not instantly transformed, and the slow horror that followed. Meanwhile, at that time, David had slipped away from the group to examine his injured ankle. What he finds isn't just a twisted joint, it's a bite. The grim realization sets in on him as he comes to terms with the fact that he's been infected. Torn between survival and the threat he now poses, David raises his gun as he considers ending it all. But in the end, he can't bring himself to pull the trigger. The next day, as the group continues their journey, David starts to grow pale and sluggish, and his condition continues to worsen. At that moment, Cassius notices blood soaking through his pant leg. So, when the others move ahead, he seizes the moment, slamming David against a tree and pulling back his pant leg to confirm the bite. His suspicion is correct. In the end, Cassius gives David a choice either to confess to the group himself or be taken out before he becomes a threat. Much later that evening, they come across a house with lights on which was a rare sight. A voice from inside demands to know what they want. Cassius immediately becomes wary as he suspects that it was a trap. But Abigail steps forward and pleads for help. She assures the voice that they mean no harm. She even mentions that they had a woman in their group. Eventually, the man, Norton, opens the door. He was armed and cautious, as he instructed them to leave their weapons in a chest outside before welcoming them in with an unexpected warmth. The group is surprised by his hospitality and by the electricity and hot water in the house. Norton introduces himself as an engineer and explains that he had built several machines to maintain his home after the collapse of the society years ago. Over dinner, he offers bread and vegetables, and Abigail, finally in a safe space, takes the opportunity to shower for the first time in days. Meanwhile, Cassius explores Norton's laptop, where he is able to view photos of his wife via a flash drive. The picture shows that his wife was pregnant before the outbreak. Later that evening, he checks on Megan, who's becoming increasingly anxious that she hasn't felt her baby move since they arrived at the house. She makes Cassius promise that if anything happens to her, he'll protect the child no matter what. That evening, Norton joins them for drinks and shares how he's lived alone in the house for 20 years. Though he's aware of a nearby colony, he had chosen isolation. But as the conversation shifts, so does his demeanor. Norton starts to rant about humanity's obsession with restoring the past, claiming the pandemic was a deserved consequence of mankind's abuse of nature. According to him, the virus was nature's way of purging the weak. Suddenly, David starts to feel very sick. So, he staggers to the bathroom, horrified to see that the infection is spreading fast. But when he returns, he finds the entire group unconscious and Norton wearing a lab coat. Before he could act, Norton activates a device emitting a high-frequency sound that causes David to collapse in agony. Norton explains that it functions like a dog whistle, and that it affects only the infected. When David awakens, he finds himself and the others bound in a basement. Norton calmly records notes before revealing his wife, who is also infected and in a cage. He admits that this has all been part of a larger experiment for him. Then, to their horror, he releases her and uses the device to manipulate her behavior. As she lunges at them, Cassius and Abigail manage to fight back. But when she turns on David, he breaks free from his restraints and defends himself. Although Norton activates the device again to stop him, David's transformation is incomplete, meaning that his willpower still gives him the strength to resist. After David frees them, Cassius grabs a nearby gun and fires at Norton, who manages to escape from the room. The group escapes the basement and locks the door behind them. As they escape, Abigail finds the car keys and Cassius retrieves their supplies. He was still weary of David, but Megan and Abigail beg him to stop. As they rush to the car, Megan tells Abigail that her water just broke. As they speed off in the car into the forest, the horde of ferals catches their scent and begins to chase. As they drive on, they finally spot a sight of distant lights, presumably the colony. But they are suddenly forced to a stop as they saw a fallen tree across the road. With no other option, they decide to flee on foot. So David and Cassius open fire at the horde as they close in. Soon, David runs out of ammo as he acknowledges that his transformation is imminent, and he urges the others to escape while he stays behind to buy time. Cassius tells him goodbye and hands him the single bullet. David then lights a cigarette and charges into battle, taking down several ferals in hand-to-hand combat. But the massive feral from before catches him off guard and snaps his neck, killing him. The others continue to run towards safety, with Abigail firing to protect Cassius as he carries Megan. They scream for help and finally manage to catch the attention of the colony guards, who open fire and eliminate the attacking ferals. Seeing the lights and the open fire, the rest of the horde retreats. The three are finally rescued and taken inside the colony. There, Megan is rushed to the infirmary, where a midwife tends to her. The next morning, Cassius meets the colony leader, but he soon tells Abigail that they would be leaving soon as he doesn't trust anyone there. Abigail, who was exhausted and desperate for peace, tells him that she has decided to stay. Later that day, the midwife shares devastating news with Cassius. She tells him that the baby is alive and well, but that Megan only has a few hours left. So Cassius visits her bedside and learns the baby's name is Hope. Megan gives him her family locket and also reminds him of his promise to protect her baby, and then dies peacefully. In the meantime, Norton discovers the feral corpses in the forest, and as he wanders through, he spots the colony. As the horde tries to attack him, he activates his device, regaining control over them, and with a cold smile, he declares it's time for revenge. Back at the colony, Cassius tends to baby Hope, still very much unsure of what's next for him. Back outside, Abigail mingles with local teens at a small evening party. As they drink and the guards fall asleep, a group of teens sneaks down a hidden tunnel in the colony. When Abigail follows, she discovers a strange remote. Just as she reaches for it, one of the teens, Roderick, intervenes. He then shares the truth with her that the colony is rigged with explosives. In the events where the ferals breach the perimeter, the remote will detonate everything. Then, the survivors can escape through the hidden hatch leading to an abandoned dam. The next morning, Norton, who is in disguise, spots a guard on a boat and calmly asks for his help. After eliminating the first threat, one of the feral dives into the water and infiltrates the colony, taking out the remaining guard. With the defenses down, Norton seizes the opportunity to unleash the entire horde. Chaos erupts as the humans are slaughtered throughout the colony, though a handful of armed residents emerge to fight back. Amid the mayhem, Abigail saves Roderick from a feral and quickly takes charge. She assigns the teenage fighters strategic roles as she tells them that those with weapons are to find elevated positions for cover fire, while Roderick is tasked with guiding the survivors toward the dam. Abigail sets off alone to search for Cassius. Meanwhile, in the panic, the colony's midwife takes baby Hope from Cassius so he can join the fight. As they begin to run low on ammunition, desperation takes hold of the remaining survivors. When the colony leader attempts to flee, he is instantly mauled by a feral. Amid the chaos, Abigail manages to shoot down one of the creatures and save 2 young girls, while Cassius fends off another using only a knife to protect 2 other teens. The two eventually reunite as they continue to fight side by side, switching between firearms and hand-to-hand combat as they battle through the relentless horde. Soon, Abigail spots a possible exit, but Norton ambushes her. As Cassius rushes to help her, he is tackled by a feral. Although Cassius successfully takes it out, he's confronted by Norton, who starts beating him while ranting about his twisted vision for a safer world. Summoning his last strength, Cassius turns on Norton, slamming him into a wall and destroying his control device. With the signal lost, the ferals immediately swarm around Norton, tearing him apart. At the dam tunnel, the survivors wait for Roderick to trigger the explosives, but he hesitates, as he is worried that Abigail hasn't escaped. Inside the colony, Abigail is ambushed by a massive feral, but Cassius strikes it down with an oar. As the beast collapses, Abigail recognizes the bracelet on its hand. Realization struck her that it was her father. Paralyzed with shock, she's quickly pulled away by Cassius just before Roderick detonates the charges, destroying the horde and the colony. Safe at last on the other side, the group discovers an infected man among them. As Cassius tries to defuse the situation, the massive feral, Abigail's father, returns, killing the man and then attacking Cassius. As the tussle and fight continue, Abigail sets aside her grief and delivers a fatal shot, killing the feral. As the colony burns behind them, Abigail declares they'll rebuild at the dam. Cassius then reveals that he took Norton's notebook, which holds the secrets to building a new generator and possibly a new future. And that's the story of the movie Silent Zone. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment telling us what you love about the movie. Until next time, stay safe.